Righto folks, we're here, we're stuck in quarantine, on lockdown, so what we're gonna do is bring the flavors from the street food that we've had all around the world back to the home kitchen. So you will normally find us pounding the streets of the world, filming for this YouTube channel and eating the best local food in the world, but right now we're at home in New Zealand, so we want to bring those flavors that we've had out on the streets of the world back into the home kitchen and replicate those recipes. We want to make some food taste exactly like we had it when we were out on the streets of the world.
Today we are going to be recreating a street food from the streets of Kolkata in India, and it is called pav bhaji.
This is it right here. So a whole bowl of the bhaji. So, oh, perfect.
And this is such an exciting dish to eat and also to watch being made. So when we were in Kolkata, we wandered up to this street food stall, one we'd heard that was really exciting, did a really good pav bhaji, and it was so cool watching the street food vendor make this dish.
This atmosphere is awesome. I love street side eating in India because it's so intense.
He takes a whole bunch of vegetables. He's got a huge giant tava, a frying surface, and he's mashing up the vegetables, adding a ton of different spices and serving it with these buttered buns. And that's what we're going to be doing today. We've got to take all of these vegetables, all of these ingredients that we have just found in our pantry, and do the mashing, create the vegetable smush, create those warm buttery buns. It's going to be really tasty.
It's all about working with what we've got, figuring out ways to make the dish exactly like we had it in the original video. So we're bringing pav bhaji from Kolkata, India into the home kitchen and trying to replicate that particular dish. I'm Thomas.
And I'm Sheena, and we're chasing a plate.
Let's get cooking.
Pav bhaji is a super popular street food snack in India, and it's one that we eat loads when we're in India. Essentially what it is a vegetable stew, or I like to call it a vegetable smush. The gentleman is really smushing up those vegetables because the street vendor takes a bunch of different vegetables and he mashes the vegetables up, adds a load of different spices, and then serves it with these toasted buttery buns called pav. Now we're going to be recreating this street food dish, the pav bhaji that we ate in Kolkata. Now this street food store was amazing. It was located in the heart of Barrabazar, which is the largest wholesale market in Kolkata, and this place was electric. You can see we're in front of like a whole lineup of street food stalls. This place is crazy. There's so much color. So there's all sorts of sort of fabric shops and places selling saris and whatnot, and then this whole lineup of street food vendors. It had so much energy. It was super colorful. There were tons of people. Now, we were able to check out what the street food vendor was, or the steps that he was taking to make the pav bhaji, because all of it happens right on the street, virtually every step of the process. And so we're able to see what vegetables he was using and what he was doing to create this dish. So we have quite a lot to go on. So I've assembled all of the ingredients that I think we're going to need today. So as Thomas mentioned before, we're in quarantine, we're in lockdown, we can't get out to the supermarket often, so we're having to use what we've got in the pantry, in the fridge, to replicate these dishes. So let me talk you through what we've got. We've got some potatoes, tomatoes, onions, some coriander, cauliflower, capsicum. I've got a bunch of spices with which to create the pav bhaji masala, the spices that I think that the street vendor would have used. We've got butter, and we're going to toast these pav up, so the buns up on the hot plate. So I'm just going to get peeling the potatoes. I've chopped up some potatoes and also some cauliflower. The potatoes have been boiling for a bit. Now I'm just adding the cauli so that can soften up. Now at the stall, the vendor had this huge vegetable mash around the edge of his tava, and that's what we're working on now. So this is the sort of pre-smushed mash. So it's got peas, it's got potato, it's got capsicum here, tomato. But we're going to be working on the capsicums now and adding them to that lot on the stove.
Sheena has cooked down some capsicums with a whole lot of turmeric. So this is for this first element, this big wall of sort of base smush that went in the dish. So on his tava in Kolkata, there's wall of this. So we've got the potato and the cauliflower there ready to go, so nicely boiled up. We're going to add this. We've got all the turmeric for colour, and then hopefully those capsicums are soft enough that we can smush them up with the potato masher. So this was the most spectacular thing to watch, was all the mushing at the stand. This section of the mush we did not see, so this section of production, so this really is all just intuition to us, trying to figure out what flavors we tasted, how it came to be. So we're just trying to create all the elements of the dish, and this is element one, and it's coming together really nicely. Look at this yellow mush. I've folded some peas through there as well, so it is just like it was at the stand visually. Let's see what it tastes like. So obviously at the stand we only ate the end product, not the steps along the way, but we've still got to eat these steps to try and discern if we're getting it right, so we can bring that end product together. Oh, that's good. Turmeric, strong, very heavily seasoned, and so that's got a lot of flavor, even though there's not many ingredients in there. I think that's going to work perfectly. And now I've got to get on to the second step, which is the more runny mush, and this is the mush that's really going to give it the bang, massive amount of flavor. This was the dark, runny one, full of spices. So we've got to put this all together, and we're using sort of a visual guide here, because you walk up to a street stall, you order a dish, you do not know exactly what goes in it. So on the stand he had a whole lot of vegetables, but they included some things that we don't think were actually in the dish, like cabbage. There was a cabbage sitting right there on the stand. It had no taste of cabbage, no sign of cabbage. We just do not think it was in there. So we're not adding cabbage, but we have added cauliflower, which was not on the stand. So we're doing a little bit of twisting and changing based on what we tasted, but we're using that visual guide of all those vegetables as a guide to what we need to go in. So in the second one, we've got onions, tomatoes, a bunch of spices, garlic, ginger, ready to go into the second smush. We have been chatting while I've been cutting up these ingredients for the second smush, and we've thought, hang on, we have made a huge boo-boo here. Those tomatoes, they need to go in this smush. We should have put them in earlier on. So we've been thinking back to what we saw at the stall. This is part of the fun of this. We're just trying to figure it out as we go along. We've realized we've made a mistake. So now we're going to cook down those tomatoes and get them into that smush so they're in the right place in the recipe.
We fixed the stuff up by cooking up some of the tomatoes with turmeric and water, and now I've added it to the smush. Just gonna fold that in. Oh yeah, that is looking real good. I'm just working on the next part of the dish, which is the spice mix. And the spice mix is going to be cooked with the onions and the garlic that Thomas prepared, some ginger, crushed, some crushed ginger, and so I've got cumin, I've got coriander, cloves, cardamom, just making it up as we go along. The spice mix that the vendor was using was a rich red color, and now I know that some pav bhaji vendors add a red coloring to create that deep dark red color in the mix. If I had it, I would use paprika probably to achieve that, but we don't have it in the spice cabinet, so we're just going to go with chili and see what happens.
That is all the prep done, so it's time to get cooking of the pav bhaji, but there's one more key ingredient that we need, and that is chives. Now, it had a lot of Indian chives in, which we don't have, but we do have a little herb garden here that we've got access to with just some normal chives, so these aren't nearly as robust as the Indian chives, but they're totally going to do the trick. So we'll just whack off some chives so we can chuck them into the dish. That is all the initial prep done. It's time to get this on the barbecue. Our closest representation to how they were cooking in India is the barbecue. So we're going to put it all on the hot plate. We've got everything portioned up as it needs to go on. This is going to get fun now. We're going to get into the cooking and the mashing and smushing of all of these ingredients. Let's get it on the hot barbecue.
I'm in the hot seat. I've got to get this pav bhaji started. So as Thomas mentioned before, we're using the hot plate section of the barbecue to cook this up, and we've got to get the onion and the garlic and the ginger onto the hot plate, cooking up with the spices. So I'm just going to add some butter to get us started. Now, the street vendor was using a lot of butter and I think a lot of ghee, which we don't have, but I've got a little bit of oil with me in case I need to add that too. All right, that butter is all melted. We're gonna chuck the onions, garlic and ginger into the mix. At the stall, I remember the vendor adding some water to his mix, so that's what I'm gonna do too, add some water and then chuck the spice right on into that lot. Woohoo! This spice just caught my throat. And then he threw in the chives and some coriander, so chuck some of that in there too. Okay, let's get this all mixed up. I think we're actually going to add more water because I remember the smush being quite watery at the stall, like it had quite a loose consistency. So let's, oh yeah, look at that. The colour's really bleeding out of that chili pepper now. We're going to add a bit of salt like he did. Make sure we've got some real seasoning going on, and then some lemon juice, which I saw him add too. He was very liberal with the lemon juice. Okay, and now I think it's time to get this a little bit smushed up. I'm trying to get this onion mixture as smushed up as possible, and the sound that I was just making with the potato masher took me right back to Kolkata, because those were the sounds, the clanging sounds that were coming from the stall when he was working the bhaji mixture. So I've got it sort of quite liquid. The smells are really intense, really spice-filled air like wafting up from the barbecue. And the next thing I've got to do is add this potato mixture to this lot here and then smush it all about. I'm going to mix everything up now and see what the consistency is. So get that spice mixture into that potato. Whoa, look at that. The color's really changing. I think I might add a little bit of water. All right, the smells are just incredible. We've left the bhaji to hang out on the hot plate for a bit, and we've whipped back inside so that we can work on the pav, which are the buns, a really important part of this dish because you use the buns to scoop up that vegetable smush. And these were so soft and buttery at the stall. They had stacks and stacks of bags of buns, and they were literally just sloshing ghee onto the middle of the tava and then smushing the buns into the ghee and wiping it around a bit, and then they're basically ready. We don't have any ghee, we've only got butter, but I know, I'm not complaining about the butter. So let's just get this fry pan heated up. We've got a block of butter, so I'm just gonna stick a very healthy wodge of that into the middle and get it melting. My butter's all melted and we're going to stick the buns in. We're just using everyday white dinner rolls, so pop them all in like this. He's literally just stacking them into the tava and smushing them around like this with his hand so they get all buttery. It's time to plate up. In Kolkata, they serve the pav bhaji in this really beautiful leaf bowl, a disposable leaf bowl, which is great for the environment. We've come as close as we could get, which is a little ceramic cabbage leaf bowl. So I've got the bhaji to a consistency where it's quite loose. So I'm just gonna put that into the little bowl. The final flourish, so butter, coriander and some red onion. So let's just get some of this red onion over the top, some coriander, and then he sliced off a nick of butter and whipped it on so it could melt into that bhaji.
All right, that is one of India's ultimate street foods prepared at home. But now the ultimate test for us, have we nailed the taste of the one in Kolkata?
Here's a pav.
Thank you. Oh,
Okay,
nice
really-
soft bun.
Ooh, buttery
Ooh, super
too.
buttery.
Okay.
Definitely going to be lacking that ghee though, I think.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
flavour's not going to be there, but we don't have it. Can't get it, so.
Thomas said he thinks that the bhaji could be a little bit looser in consistency, and I tend to agree. It's sort of a bit thick now, but
You know what? Those fresh ingredients going on, the onion and the coriander, the fresh on top, that, hitting the heat, that smells like Kolkata. Can you smell it? Oh.
yes.
Ooh. Whoa, chili. Whoa, it's spicy.
It's spicy.
Whoa, spicier.
Great lemon flavor.
That's what I was going to say next. The lemon is super strong, like a real tang.
Wow, that's taking me right back.
This is good. I like it. You can get little bits of the fresh onion and fresh coriander. No.
What's really hitting it for me is the lemon, the chili, and the fresh ingredients, so the coriander and the red onion.
And the lemon is what is making me think of the Kolkata one. It's transporting me back and I'm tasting it like I was sitting on the street. And I think it's the lemon that's doing that for me. Whoa.
The difference is, like, the color is a different color to what was at the store, but the flavor's pretty good.
The flavor is bang on.
Probably needs a bit more water to loosen it up a bit, but the flavor is banging.
The buns aren't as flavoursome. They're just because there's no ghee. They haven't sucked up as much moisture, so they're not as luscious. They're not sort of covering your fingers in the ghee, but they're still delicious. They are what they are. Oh man, I can't get enough of this. I'm on bun 2 already.
This has been a really fun one to recreate.
Yeah.
So using the hot plate instead of the tava, but then still having that potato masher tool to sort of get that smush on. Man, that was super fun.
That has taken me back. Loving bringing the flavours of our videos, our past videos, back into the home kitchen while we're in quarantine. Hope you're enjoying this one. Let us know what meals from our videos you want to see us recreate. Comment down below. Hit that thumbs up button. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Oh!
Heaps more street food recreations coming from our kitchen straight to you. See you next time.
Thanks for watching this one.